Hey there. In this video, I'm going to cover exactly how I would build a $10 million per year business funding company in 2026. Now, I'm talking to business loan brokers and direct funders every single day. These guys run the gamut from $1 to $2 million per year in revenue, all the way up to guys and teams that have well over 80 salespeople. These teams are doing 8+ figures in revenue. And so there is something very common that I see from those who are doing $1 to $2 million that prevents them from achieving a $10 million a year run rate. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the exact systems that I would build to help $1 to $2 million business loan brokers break through that plateau and get to $10 million plus annualized revenue. Now let's dive into it. If you don't know me, my name is Isaac Wood. I work with business lenders and business loan brokers to help them generate qualified and exclusive leads. We're generating well over 100 qualified leads per week for our clients. These are real-time leads delivered directly into a CRM. We're specifically working with those in the business lending world, the alternative business lending niche. And again, these businesses are ranging in size from 7 to 8 figures, all the way up to 80+ salespeople. So we're seeing really what's working, and we're using data. This isn't theory. We have the data to support exactly what's working, what the best guys are doing. And so what we're seeing right now is a 4% funding rate across our leads. It's one of every 25 leads that turn into a funded deal. We've helped our clients increase revenue 3 times or more in working together. So these are just a couple of the results that we're able to achieve in working with our clients. So the problem and the challenge that I'm seeing in speaking with brokers that are scrappy, that are growing, that are winning in their business, but they're not quite hitting that next level. It's a very, very consistent thing. It's really just starts with belief. And you've built your system and you've built your company on a belief system that made total sense when every dollar was tight, right? When you have to decide between investing in new leads or paying your rent to keep your lights on, you're going to go with paying the lights every single time. And so that really puts a focus on the cheapest cost per lead possible. And so that belief system is now your ceiling. And so what I mean by that is the companies that are doing $10 million plus in revenue per year are thinking about things in terms of the total acquisition cost. So they're thinking about the entire cost to acquire a customer. And they're thinking about, how can I acquire a customer at a cost that is consistent so I can scale across the market and continue to acquire new customers. They're not thinking about, how much does this one specific lead cost me? And that change in mindset, that change in frame is exactly what I'm going to show with you. I'm going to show you exactly how these numbers work, why they work, and how you can apply them into your own business. So let's talk about why that cheap lead is actually way more expensive. So on calls all the time, I'm talking with guys, they are saying, hey, we're typically using referrals, we're using word of mouth. That's great. The problem with that is you can't predict referrals. You don't know when they're going to come in. You can continue to ask for them, but they're not going to be as predictable as a system that you can just continue to push more volume, right? So what a lot of guys do when they're starting to go beyond the referrals and beyond their partnership networks is starting to buy leads. So usually that starts with buying cheap 1 cent leads off of a list. Usually it's a shared list. Usually it's an aged list. And so all of the leads on that list are going to be business owners. They've been hit up by 5, 10, 20, or even 50 other brokers before you. And so they've already heard the pitch. They already have their preferred lender. They've already decided to work with the broker, or they're no longer in the market. And so you've missed the opportunity entirely. And not only that, but you're wasting time on these leads. Now, a lot of times people will start talking about cheap leads that they can buy on something like Facebook, right? Oftentimes they're billed as exclusive leads or qualified leads, and they can buy them for $40 or $50. The challenge with this is that they're often just misrepresented in the market. If you're running ads on Meta, so on Instagram or on Facebook, you'll know that the cost to actually deliver the ad, the cost to the platform, is often $40 or $50 flat. It can even be an in excess of that if you're actually going for a qualified lead. So what that means is a couple of things. One, they're actually either not really providing an exclusive lead, meaning they're saying it's exclusive and then they're just sharing it with a couple of other people and marketing it as exclusive, or it's simply just not qualified. So whether that means it's first name, last name, email address, and phone number, they're probably not including a suite of data like how long they've been in business, their revenue, how many defaults, if any. They're probably also not verifying their phone number at a $50 lead cost. So, what this is going to do is it's typically going to mean that you're dealing with leads that are lower quality, leads that have already been shared around. And so, again, if they're not qualified, your team's not going to be able to sell to them. They're not going to close. They're not going to fund. And if they've talked to 5 other brokers already, you're going to be back of the line. It's going to be a race to the bottom in terms of price and a just completely worse experience for the borrower at the end of the day. So, what you can do instead, you can decide to build a funnel on your own, start generating exclusive leads. You can get these for, let's call them $125, right? Assuming you can get a 4% funded rate, so one of every 25 lead closes, you can have a very consistent cost per funding of just over $3,000, right? If you compare that to a $50 shared lead where you have a 1% funding rate, you have to deal with 100 leads. That's a $5,000 cost, not to mention all the wasted time that your sales guys are chasing bad fits, chasing guys who've already been trampled, chasing guys that are super stacked. It's just going to be a worse experience. You're going to have a more expensive cost per funded deal, even though the cost per lead looks a little bit less expensive. So when you start thinking about terms of acquisition cost versus cost per lead, you really open up the scope and what's possible. Now that we've talked about why cost per acquisition is so important, I'm going to break down the 4 steps that lead to the one system that I'm consistently seeing across $10 million revenue plus businesses. So each step in this process is a specific job. And if anyone is missing, then the entire system breaks, right? It's the perfect metaphor is you have a car, right? If your car is completely built out, but it doesn't have gas in it, it's not going to work. If your car doesn't have a steering wheel, then you can sit in the car, you can fill it up with gas, but it's still not going to go anywhere. You need the entire system to work. And that's exactly what this is. So first, we'll talk about establishing your numbers so we can actually understand your KPIs and what you should be shooting for. Then we'll talk about determining a scalable marketing channel. Then we'll start talking about building a sales system and then ultimately how to solve and identify your bottlenecks. So the first thing you always want to be focusing on is just establishing your numbers. Then you can track your conversions look like and what you need to improve, right? Typically, we're start thinking about lead volume. So that's just your inputs, how many leads you're actually getting into your system every single day. You'll start talking about your connection rate. So how many of these leads you're actually connecting with. That can break down further into speed to lead. Ultimately, like we'll be thinking about this as a lead quality signal as well. Then we'll talk about app rates. You have your approval rates, ultimately leading into your funded rate, right? So this is going to be the big important conversion metric. This is going to culminate into your cost per acquisition. So this is just your total cost per funded deal. So let's actually do this math and we can work backward from $10 million. And this is going to give us a benchmark and an actual model that we can use to help scale our business, right? So let's just make some assumptions. Let's assume that we have a 55K average loan size. We're getting 10 points on an origination fee on our deals. That means that we're making 5.5K per funded deal. This doesn't even include when a borrower will come back and re-borrow from us. This is just net new borrowers. In order to get here, we'll need 1,800 deals per year. That means 150 funded deals per month to hit $10 million in revenue. Now, to get there, assuming we have a 4% funded rate, that means that we need 3,750 leads per month, roughly 938 leads per week. Assuming that 4% rate, and we can achieve this by using exclusive leads, leads that are qualified, leads that we're verifying their contact information, their email address, their mobile number. And we're actually dealing with leads that can in fact borrow from our lenders because they are qualified. Now we have our numbers. Now we understand we need 938 qualified leads into our pipeline every single week. If we can do that and we can continue to close at a 4% rate, we're going to be acquiring customers at just over $3,000 per customer. And we're going to get to that $10 million by the end of the year. So now that we have the numbers and now we actually have the path to get there, simply now comes down to execution. So how do you want to do this? You can continue to leverage your current channels like referrals. Again, going to be challenging because it's not controllable. It's slow to scale and you can't really turn the dial up there. That being said, referrals are a great way to acquire customers, but it's not going to get you to that $10 million goal. Next, we can just dial cold calling numbers, right? We talked about these cheap lists before. It's going to be a numbers game. Your team is going to burn out. They're going to just be dialing all day. And in many cases, it's not going to be a qualified lead. So how do you solve for this? You get exclusive and qualified leads. And the way you could do that, you can either set up a system yourself or you can pay for a pre-qualified and an exclusive lead where you can just turn the volume up as needed over time. And one thing to reconfirm, $40 or a $50 exclusive lead does not typically cover the cost for the person who's selling it. So something is amiss. Usually I would ask some questions, ask if it's really truly exclusive because it might be shared. Ask if it's recycled, meaning it's like aged a day or a week or a month or even longer than that. Or ask how qualified it is, understand exactly what the qualifications are to really understand like what you're getting if you're going to be talking to folks who are selling leads at that cost. Ultimately, you'll just want to decide on a channel. Facebook ads are a great channel to do this. There's billions of people on the platform. Many of them are business owners. Many of them do have lots of money to spend, or they are running legitimate businesses. That's just something that you would want to consider. So now that you've understood your numbers, you know exactly the steps that it's going to take to get you from wherever you're at to $10 million in annual revenue. You now have decided on your marketing mix. You've decided that you're going to be doing some referrals. You're going to be calling some outbound. You're going to be using some lists to do some outbound. And then you're also going to be purchasing or running your own marketing to generate exclusive and pre-qualified leads. Now you're starting to get some lead flow. Now we need a sales system that's going to convert these leads at the 4% that we had talked about. The absolute highest leverage skill and the highest leverage tactic that you can implement into your business is the speed to lead rule of under 5 minutes. We have data that shows there's an 18% higher conversion at 5 minutes versus even just 10 minutes. And that number increases as it gets further away from that 5 minutes. So an hour or 24 hours, right? This is non-negotiable. You need to reach out to the lead immediately. Send them a text, call them, email them. Some of our best clients and the best industry standard are hitting their leads 30 times over 5 days. That's really just what it takes to get in touch with a lead in today's world in 2026. The reason being, someone has intent. They've taken the time to fill out your form. They know that they have a problem. There's enough friction in the process to where they've provided enough information about themselves and their business that they actually want to solve this problem. Now, you need to capture that. And the way that you do it is you stay front of mind. You hit them up right away when the intent is highest within that first 5 minutes. Once that 5 minutes is over, their customer walks in, they need to manage a customer, a teammate walks in, they have a question. There's so many different things that can happen. And so it's just really important to strike while the iron is hot. Now, if you don't get in touch with the lead right away, all is not lost. Once you have your system built where you can touch the lead 30 times over 5 days, you're going to just have the best opportunity to get in front of them when they have a moment, they have some time, right? 30 touches, that's quite a lot of times. But again, it's necessary. You hit them up on social, you hit them on their text, you call them, you email them, you get them everywhere you can find them. What is required to get somebody to respond in today's world. And then the last thing here is you want to be training your team to manage and deal with cold traffic. So cold traffic are basically leads that haven't necessarily heard from you before. They don't necessarily know you or like you or trust you. Again, this is different from referrals. Now, selling to referrals is a whole lot easier than selling to cold leads because referrals already know you. And so they've already been given to you by a trusted contact. Now, with the cold leads, you just need to build trust more quickly. And so you do that with your 30 touches. You do that with your sales process. You understand that you have to send them content that's valuable, that answers all of their questions. You have scripts that can manage and surface their biggest objections before they share them. So you can pre-objection handle those. You have systems that consistently train your reps versus just relying on superstar high quality reps to hit your numbers, because when they inevitably leave, whether they go to another company for a new opportunity, they start their own business, they do whatever, then you're going to still have a system in place that will allow you to continue to refill the pipeline, to continue to sell and hit those numbers as needed, right? No matter the experience level. So the last one in this process is solving the bottlenecks before they become ceilings. And so in any sort of funnel, there's always going to be one great constraint. Your greatest constraint is where you want to solve it first. And typically at the beginning of every process, you want to solve for the lead quality. If your lead quality is not hitting your KPIs, then you're not ready to scale it yet. So what you first need to do is start collecting your feedback from your leads, right? Understanding exactly where they're converting, where they're not converting, where they're falling off in the pipeline. And so you can use that to make better decisions on building your campaign, whether that's improving your ad creative, creating a better landing page, creating a better form, or building a better sales process, right? But it all starts with the lead quality. Then once you've determined your lead quality, and you start to scale, you want to build out your capacity planning, right? So you want to forecast out these numbers ahead of time and what your capacity is, right? If your sales team is stacked with meetings all week, you're not going to be able to double the lead volume because your sales team is already full up. They're taking calls 12 hours a day. So before you do that, make sure that you have some sales reps that are being trained, that you're hiring, that you have some additional capacity to put yourself in the position to scale when you start to increase your marketing spend. Next one, systems to maintain quality. This is all encompassing, but ultimately you need the systems to continue to train and level up your talent over time, because once your team gets good, other opportunities are going to come to them and you can't assume that they're going to be loyal to you. You might have a great culture, but you still have to understand that the system, end of the day, will beat out talent anytime. Well, you think about building an amazing system and then inserting incredible talent on top of it. Think about it like the Alabama football program. They had an incredible system with Nick Saban as their coach. He would come in and he was so consistent. They were always making it to the national title. Why were they doing that? Because he had an amazing system. Not only did he have an amazing system, but he also had an incredible recruiting function. So he's able to get new talent and then insert them into the system. So he had all of this in place, right? He was forecasting for his team capacity. His team quality was high. He was always backfilling for those guys who are going to be leaving, who are going to be going to the NFL draft. And he always had systems in place to where he could get a consistent product year in and year out. And inevitably, they continue to win national championships. And that's what's going to happen to your business if you're able to do this. You'll break through your previous all-time highs. You'll build those systems. You'll prep that team and you'll break through to $10 million and beyond. Now, there's two paths to get here. One, you can build it yourself. We've already reverse engineered the numbers. You can audit all your lead sources. You can measure your speed to lead. You can build your process. You can track every KPI. You can go attract high quality salespeople, build their systems out. You can do that. It's all actionable. We've shown you how to do it and you can do it today. Or you can have us help you get there a little bit faster. We handle the entire lead system for you. We do the ads, we do the qualification, we deliver them directly into your CRM in real time. Your team just needs to call the leads and close the deals. It's simple. It's all you got to do. So that sounds interesting and you're looking for more exclusive qualified leads so you can fund more deals so you can hit those revenue goals, then click that link in the description below. It's going to be the first link. You'll book a call with me. On the call, We'll have a quick discussion about your business, understand your lead sources, exactly what you're trying to achieve in growing your business. If it's a fit, we'll hop on, talk about how to actually get started. And from there, we'll start scaling your campaigns. But that's it for this video. I'll talk to you in the next one.